I went to art school in 1946, and I was aware of the return of the troops who took up art courses. So I was a young student with older colleagues.
Which art school did you go to?
St Martin's. And yes, at St Martin's. And St Martin's is on the Northern Line, and possibly for that reason there was a large number of Jewish students came down, German Jewish refugees, and I'd already had some influence from one of my teachers who had been on the Isle of Man as an alien who had to be processed before he could come and teach in England. I digress a great deal. I'm 88, and I have a wonderful long perspective of memories, and a very sharp memory of all kinds of things. When I had my diploma, and I was looking for something to do to keep myself alive, I worked at the Royal Festival Hall in the kitchens, and getting a small amount of money together, I went on a student plane to Rome and hitchhiked back. Saw a lot of wonderful things in Rome, and I particularly remember Michelangelo's sculpture of Moses, and I could talk about all that, but
why do you remember that, Colin?
Why do you remember that in particular, Colin?
Because he's a genius.
Yes.
Stop it, sorry. Stop.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
And
so I had found that for myself in St. Peter and St. Paul in Chains. Is it?
St. Paul in Chains. St. Paul in Chains.
Yes.
Yes.
And I came back through France, and I slept in the docks in a taking my rucksack through the mouth of some sewer pipes which were being new ones, which were being transported.
Yes.
And I wriggled in there and came back to Britain on the ship and hitchhiked up to London and got my job back in the Festival Hall. I'd been a month on the journey pretty well, and I was quite hungry, and I did a lot of painting and drawing en route in Florence and places like that, and I was treated very kindly, and my Italian grew out of the remains of my school French, and at the art school there were a lot of friends who were a bit older than I was, because I'd hurried to get into the art school because the men were coming back and women. And I travelled with them, and we used to hitchhike to different parts of the country and paint pictures in Cornwall, and study trip really down to Canterbury Cathedral and things like that. Anyway, as an introduction to myself, I would say I never became part of the London scene in the respect of having a gallery that I was attached to, although it didn't attach to me. And I felt I could do whatever I liked. I didn't feel I had to typecast myself. And a lot of artists I was with have become quite famous, but I call them Bovril artists, that they produce the same genre reliably, which I just did what came my way. And I worked in an antiques restoration place, and I learnt to draw from measurements, and as part of a professional situation.
Can you remember the name of the company?
Oh yes, Crowther and Company.
And whereabouts was that?
In the Fulham Road.
Uh-huh.
And I also worked in for an antique, for a German Jewish stage designer who and I was set to work on painting parts of scenery for ice shows and reviews and things like that.
Yes.
He was called Edward Delaney, wasn't he?
Yes, Edward Delaney.
Yes.
And there I met my foreman was a remarkable man who'd come from Mauritius in the Indian Ocean, and had very remarkable teachers in art. And he became our best man for our wedding.
Tommy Mayer.
Tommy Mayer. And a wonderful man with a very interesting family. He married a woman who had a career in Berlin and had escaped to London.
Yes.
And after we were married, my wife's father rather suddenly died, and because by then we'd got a daughter, we came to Coventry to live with her and give her the comfort.
Sorry to interrupt, but if we could go back to St Martin's.
Yes.
Among your fellow students were Eva Frankfurter.
Yeah.
And Mary Fell?
Sheila Fell.
Sheila Fell.
Yes. And Frank Auerbach.
And Frank Auerbach.
Who was not a close friend. I got a good portrait of him, I did, in those days.
He was very silent in those days.
Oh yes.
You knew him as well, Delia?
My wife knew all these people, well, many of these people.
He was courting the girl I lived with, and he used to come round in the evening and sit in complete silence the whole evening. If you hear him now on the
He's talkative.
very talkative.
Anyway, where were you? You'd come to Coventry when I interrupted, Colin.
Well, I came to Coventry and I
You were able to get a job here, an art teaching job, weren't you? You couldn't get one in London.
yes. I wasn't terribly well known in London, and
And so you were looking for work in Coventry.
well, I was teaching in a rugby school, a church secondary school,